on Michigan Replay. We'll talk about a week of practice, but no game. We'll also take Michigan Replay. The Wolverines had the week off, but Michigan Replay doesn't have the week off. Mo and I are back at work, and we've got an opportunity to talk a little bit about last week. The kids, how'd they respond after the loss to Notre Dame, Mo? You've had a week to kind of look at them in practice. How are things going?
Well, I think, Jim, with all the disappointment and everything, you know they're going to come back fighting, and I think we did that this week, and we got to make sure that effort continues throughout the week. And, you know, after a sad week in a game, I guess you can state that way, you find out what kind of character you have and how they're going to come back, and what lessons in life they're really going to learn.
And have you been pleased with the kids and how they've responded?
Right, yeah, there's no question about that. I think we have good kids. It's a matter of how we will continue to respond and not have a relapse of any nature, and you got to maintain this intensity now for 9 weeks.
During this off week, some fun things have happened, too. You had some visitors come to practice, I guess, and you got a nice little souvenir. Tell me about that.
Well, we had a couple of players from the Cleveland Indians because they're in town playing the Tigers, obviously, and they were in Texas last week and bought me a game ball that Nolan Ryan had signed.
How about that?
A big victory, and, you know, it was kind of good, but you know, it's going to be tough. We've got a lot of work to do, and maybe that's good for, you know, we've got some time to do that, but we've definitely got to make an improvement.
Steve Morrison working this week on improvement. In the meantime, we're under siege. I thought, not picking on the media, but that was a little unfair because expectations are so high. You're almost a victim of your own success.
Right, and Jim, let me say our expectations still remain very high. One loss to Notre Dame, which we didn't like to see, and the kids hated and the coaches hated more than a lot of fans probably because we live with it day in and day out, and it is part of our success. But we still have a lot of things to accomplish, and realize and understand it isn't given to you. No one's going to give to you. As you see today, several teams in the Big Ten are getting stronger, and they're all aiming at us. And our attitude coming back has got to be very strong. But all through the season, if we don't have great resolve, we're not going to be there.
I'd like to let's bring this down to our own little university here at the University of Michigan. That's what we're talking about. The expectations beginning this season so very high. You lose one game, everybody says, oh, season's over because the national championship is out of reach now. Is that an argument against national playoff system for a national title or not?
Well, I think it is in a way because you would not probably become a part of the system with one loss. And as we've witnessed here with our basketball team, they've never won the Big Ten Conference, so to speak, yet they played very, very well and come very close and won the NCAA championships once. So I said this before, who do you allow in? Florida State wouldn't have been a part of it last year. But realize, too, Jim, this season isn't over. Even for national rankings, it's not completely over. We're at a dim hope. That's not our only objective, and yet someday it'd be great if we could do it.
I guess what I'm getting at, too, is that I think sometimes, and again, some fans, not all fans, but some fans who have this great hope of a national title, all of a sudden look at the season. You could go 10-1 this year, and yet some people might consider it somewhat disappointing. And that's not the real fan, but there are some of those out there, aren't there?
Well, I think so, Jim. And I got to say, if I'm going to look at myself and say you're a good football coach, number one, I want to win. And I'm disappointed, and I'm not making any excuses for losing to Notre Dame. But let me at least make every decision I make for the best interest of the student-athletes. And remember that they are student-athletes. The program itself, football, like any other part of the university, has to be educational. We don't like to lose. But now we're in a situation we must lose or learn a lot from a loss, and a very difficult loss.
And the other thing I think, too, that people must remember is some teams in the country may have gone out to get a national championship and have focused on it so much, and now like the University of Washington, and I'll bring their names up, they're under probation now. Auburn under Pat Dye got into some problems. Miami's thought I was a bandit program. That's the price you pay, maybe. And you got to run a clean program at Michigan, or it's not going to work. And you've said that since taking the job.
Well, it's not only at Michigan, but for myself personally, if there's one thing I want to go out with great pride, is I can look at Bo Schembechler and say, hey, I did it my way, and I did it the right way. That's why I've always said he's one of the greatest coaches in history, because he did it with that integrity. bowl records and stuff people get down on, but we all know. And what is it for? It's for the best interest of the student athletes. And you worry about everything happening, but as you indicate, you don't want the undertone. You don't want people to have success doing things the wrong way and then tell them they got a great education in your program.
Okay, Mo, we ought to do this more often, have a little more.
And then you add a punt return, and those are the sickening things. This team has more potential to do that than anyone we played.
Your secondary, which didn't play that well against Notre Dame, really going to be tested again by a team that throws it around an awful lot. Even though they're not that strict run and shoot like they've been, they're going to still throw it around a lot.
No question about that. And we got to get some pressure to help out our secondary. Our secondary played the pass on a couple occasions poorly at Notre Dame, but the worst thing they did, as the whole team did, a defense it's got to fit like gears coming together. Everybody has a position they must take, and we have to front up the ball properly.